Good morning, Sports Insanity Network fans. It's Mark Oldop Guy Halpern here for the Sideline Report here on the Sports Insanity Network. Now, we have a big shout out this morning to the wonderful company that has been supplying my breakfast every morning and gets me up for it. Overnight Oats, ladies and gentlemen, not a sponsor. We would love you to be. I am hooked. Every night at 8 o'clock, I get my oatmeal ready to go and ready for this morning. This way, I am not having breakfast while doing this podcast for once. So this way, I can be heard clearly. It doesn't take a lot of time. Trust me, all the flavors are the bomb. I love it. But now we're going to get to the real reason why we're here. It's Sunday morning football, and we're going to turn this over to the guy who has the rundown, Mike, the real pun master, Rifkin.
Makes me seem like you don't have a copy of the rundown, and I'm not even going to send you one. But again, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the week 6 edition of the Sunday Sideline Report here on the SIN YouTube channel. As Mark mentioned, Mark, myself, and Danny Boy Reginald with you this morning. Gentlemen, good morning. Hope all is well. Well, let's start this show, Dan, because it is a positive view for you.
It's a new week,
It's a new week. It's
brand
a
new week, and
new day.
before I say anything, this logo, 1 week only, will be coming back with the old uniforms, the real, original Jet uniforms. 1 week only.
The
This logo, that
throwbacks.
logo, the old jerseys. I'm so excited for that. They're gonna lose, but I'm very excited that the Jets are going back to their roots. Even if it's just for 1 week, it's good to see all the players in those helmets and jerseys. It's gonna be great. So can't wait for that. Just wanted to make that a point for real quick.
That's not where I was going, but all right.
I know where you're going, but
That's
yeah.
that might be the cherry on top of your week because your week started out with a bang. And if you tuned into last week's show, we did this show during the London game, which featured the New York Jets and the Minnesota Vikings, a game in which the Minnesota Vikings wound up winning 23-16. Then on Tuesday morning, shockwaves were felt throughout the NFL world of the tri-state area as the New York Jets announced they had fired head coach Robert Saleh. Saleh was, I believe, 20-36 in his 3+ seasons as the Jets head coach. The job will be taken over by Jeff Ulbrich, who's the defensive coordinator. And we'll get into the other part of this because, Mark, you and I texted about this part, and I'll get into why there's a conspiracy out. But, Dan, you are the Jet fan in the room.
If you couldn't
I'm
tell by
going
what he
to
was wearing.
I'm going to give you the moment. Your reaction when you found out Robert Saleh was fired.
But I was excited. It was time to go. I know a bunch of dumbass non-Jet fans in the national media, all across the world, are all saying that the Jets once again don't know what they're doing. They're a dysfunctional franchise, something that, again, we all know. You don't have to be so repetitive and redundant about it. We get it. This was the right move. After the Broncos game, Mike and Mark, when Robert Saleh talked about why there's so many penalties, why we're getting so many false starts. He talked about Rodgers' cadence and was very lenient on the players. And you can tell that Aaron Rodgers' reaction after that, was talking about accountability and stuff. You can tell from right then and there that there was an issue with Saleh. And you can even tell before. I keep going back to that Thursday night game where Robert Saleh is trying to do the hug and the chest bump with Rodgers, wherever it was, and it was so awkward. There was something off about that relationship right then and there. Now, of course, I'm taking their words. You know, that they said there was nothing wrong at that point, but you can tell that it was a very awkward relationship. It soured after that Bronco game for sure. So that happened. Then the Minnesota game happened in London, which was a disaster. Obviously, a lot of that was on Aaron Rodgers, and believe me, he is not not excused from this. Okay, he still has a whole season left with this team. He's not excused from this. He's a disaster too. But Robert Saleh had to go. The record speaks for itself. 16 games under 26 and 20 and 36, excuse me. 16 games under 500 as head coach. Uh, Team's never ready. Team doesn't know how to prepare for games. There's always a bunch of penalties. And the locker room even said it. We need a leader. So he's not a leader of men. He's just a cheerleader waving his pom-poms like the jet flight crew, with skinny skirts and all these tight nonsense going on there. That's what he is. And look, I'm sure he's a very nice guy, and people respect him, people respect the enthusiasm, and we wish him well. And again, there's a personal element to it as well, so we got to keep that in mind. But it was time to go. We need something new. Just got something new, so I'm very happy about it. Good riddance. We want to see that clown on the sideline with a blank stare whenever he has no idea what the hell's going on the sideline on the football field. So, but now there's no excuse for Rodgers. We got rid of the coach, and we have a talented football team on paper, right? So go out there and win. If the issue really was the coach, which I believe it is, I believe that was the main issue. But if the issue really is the coach, Aaron, you're saying, hey, look, let's go. We're going to have to go out to get it. We're going to go out and win now. Win. Win this game against Buffalo. You have a good track record against Buffalo at home during this era, right? Go out there, win, get into first place.
I think you just said at the end the weirdest part about all of this.
Mm-hmm.
A win tomorrow night against the Buffalo Bills, and the New York Jets are in first place. That is the weirdest part about this whole thing. Mark, I'll let you go, and then I will.
Clashing with a coach is never easy, especially when you're a $50 million quarterback. Whatever happened or went on to create all this, I do not know. I mean, I'm sure we'll hear a lot more, or Dan, as he is the avid Jets fan, will see more than what I see put out. However, I don't know who the accountability falls on,
Coach.
but you're in the middle of a game. Yes, unfortunately, you're losing or winning at that point. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you're upset or something, you gotta remember you're still being seen on TV, so you still gotta act professional. It doesn't excuse what's going on, but as I hear what Dan had to say, um, but anytime a quarterback clashes with a coach, most of the time the quarterback's gonna win.
Especially when it's a star quarterback. So I've got a problem with this, and I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this, but this should have happened after last season.
Mm-hmm.
That is when this should have taken place.
It should have happened. It should have happened after that disaster second year for Zach Wilson. That's when it should have happened. They should have fired everybody.
So I want to go off of what you talked about at the top, Dan, and then I'm going to break it into the point. This organization is a dumpster fire. They don't know what's going on. They are a walking comedy sideshow because they let it be a walking comedy sideshow. So, do I disagree that Robert Saleh deserved to be fired? No, Robert Saleh absolutely deserved to be fired. 1,000%. He should have been fired after last year. But it's the reason Robert Saleh got fired. Robert Saleh didn't get fired because he was 16 games under 500. Robert Saleh didn't get fired because of losses to Denver and Minnesota. Robert Saleh got fired because he wanted to demote Nathaniel Hackett.
No, he got fired because he was bad.
No, hold on, Dan. I'm going to make my point. You're right. Was he a good coach? No, 100%. But his side of the ball is his defense. That's his bread and butter, and you've called him a cheerleader, and I've called him multiple things along the lines of stuff with his defense. He is a cheerleader. You were right. Here's the thing that bothers me. It came out that he wanted to demote Hackett after the London game last week. And then, according to reports, Woody Johnson and Aaron Rodgers had a phone conversation Monday night. The decision was made Tuesday to let Saleh go. And apparently, he had to get escorted out of the building, and they wouldn't let him tell the players. But that, again, whole nother conversation. Aaron Rodgers then goes on the Pat McAfee show. Shout out the Pat McAfee show. And says people think I have too much power. Well, Aaron, you do have the power.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers, you are the reason why Robert Saleh got fired. We could see through you.
Yeah.
Now, tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, ESPN, MetLife Stadium, Bills, Jets, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on the call. Todd Downing's going to be calling plays. And Mark, you texted me yesterday, Todd Downing's calling plays for the Jets.
Yep.
And I said to you, he has to. And you said why? Because it came out that Robert Saleh was going to demote Hackett. And then on top of that, the Jets said, you know what? We have to save face here.
Mm-hmm.
And
You're
agree
right.
with Aaron Rodgers. So we're going to demote Nathaniel Hackett at least for this one game. So whether the Jets win or lose tomorrow night, at some point during this season, Nathaniel Hackett is going to get the play calling duties returned to him.
Right.
Because that is what Aaron Rodgers wants. That's what this whole thing's about. Now, did Saleh deserve to be fired? 100%. But to Dan's point earlier, the 41-year-old quarterback, he ain't got an excuse anymore. Can't be the coach is holding you back. It can't be this is holding you back. Go out there and make people believe you are still the guy who's won 4 MVPs. Make them believe that you are the reason certain people can talk about, oh, they're a playoff team now. Because I think Dan, you'll agree with it. This season, you've played like garbage.
Can't run the ball.
They can't run the ball. He can't hit a wide open Garrett Wilson down the sideline for a touchdown last week. It's brutal. It has been brutal. And by the way, guess what? There's no in between here for the Jets. You either have to go all the way or the season's a failure because of who the quarterback is. That's where, if you're a Jet fan this week, that's where your frustration should lie. I also want to make the point that Woody Johnson did not hire Robert Saleh. He was off being the ambassador to the UK.
He was coming back from the UK.
No, we knew he was coming back, but
he was coming back. It was January of 21, so he was ending his time. I agree with you that this is the pressure is now on Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
He needs to perform. I think we can all agree there.
Mm-hmm.
I really think part of the demotion process of demoting Daniel Hackett from play caller to just OC and name only.
Mm-hmm.
I think the part of that process too was to get a different voice. Again, Aaron Rodgers, I don't think it matters who the OC is. He's going to be his own offensive coordinator. If he wants to change a play, he can just do it.
Right.
I was about to say, yeah.
So I don't think it matters. And I'm glad that he's at least able, because let's be honest here, Nathaniel Hackett stinks as a coach. He's terrible. He's a terrible offensive coordinator. He's a terrible head coach. There's a reason why the Denver Broncos fired him and hired Sean Payton. The Broncos are in a much better spot in their current team right now because of the fact that they fired Nathaniel Hackett. They didn't have to fire Nathaniel Hackett after the season. They did. There's a reason. So he should not be on this coaching staff, but he is. And the bottom line is that he is the offensive coordinator, but now he's just another guy getting Aaron his coffee and, giving him massages and, smoking weed and,
Oh, he's on with Deshaun Watson? I didn't know that.
retreats. That's what
that's another guy we'll get into in a little bit.
Like that's what it is. That's all it is to. It's to keep Aaron happy. That's why he is still the offensive coordinator. That's the thing. Now, again, is it going to matter who the play caller is? No, because Aaron Rodgers can change plays whenever he feels like it. But the whole idea is to make Aaron happy, that Nathaniel Hackett, his best buddy, is still there. You know what? I'm sick and tired of that bull. You know what? I'm tired of it. I'm tired. I'm ready to move on. I'm glad that Aaron was willing, to compromise. Hey, look, Nathaniel Hackett won't be the play caller, but he'll still be the offensive coordinator. Fine, whatever. But I'm ready to move on. I want them all fired, except Jeff Ulbrich. Obviously, he's the interim. But I want them all gone.
Head coach.
I want, after this season, I want to see Nathaniel Hackett here. And depending on how Rodgers does, if Aaron Rodgers has a terrible season, I want him gone too. It's time to get, hopefully, Jordan Travis and that leg. I know he had that gruesome injury last season in college, so it's going to take a while to heal, but hopefully he grasps some of the lessons that he learned from Rodgers in the room, and you can get another veteran quarterback in here. You already have one, Tyrod Taylor. Let's get Rodgers gone. His experiment's not working. And let's start the process of getting the real franchise quarterback, Jordan Travis, back up and have him going, because this Rodgers experiment is going to take too long. It takes too long. It's over. Okay? This is about the future. The future starts now. We'll finish off the season with Rodgers. If they make the playoffs, great. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. They're not that good. Next year's about the future. And hopefully, Jeff Ulbrich will do a good enough job to stay the head coach. You take the interim tag. And once you get rid of Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett and all those dummies, we'll make this team our team, the real team, ready to go. Because I'm sick and tired of this Rodgers nonsense.
All right, so you want Ulbrich to do well enough to where he is.
Yes, I'm rooting for Jeff Ulbrich. I am rooting for Jeff Ulbrich to do well.
Okay.
And specifically, I'm rooting for him to do well so that he can have more leverage on this team. He can have a good rapport with Joe Douglas, because we all know Joe Douglas is staying. So that he can get control of this team. And if Aaron Rodgers has another subpar season, but still makes the playoffs, he can say, hey, look, I've done enough to be a good coach. We need a new quarterback. I'm sick and tired of Rodgers.
Here's going to be the interesting question, though. You said have a good rapport with Joe Douglas.
Mhm.
Who says Joe Douglas survives after this year? If they miss the playoffs, there's a good chance he's gone.
Right. But
So,
I have a good feeling about this, though.
no, that's fair. I'm just bringing up,
You're right.
Joe Douglas. So.
You're right. You're right. Does he survive? They'll make the playoffs? Probably not.
Well, again, we'll have to wait and see.
Um. So with this Rodgers news, obviously there have been a lot of questions about what it'll mean for Devontae Adams.
And then there was reporting last night that there's talks of the Raiders may keep Adams through the season.
Yeah.
Which, who knows?
Does or does not make sense. It doesn't matter, really.
Yeah. The Devontae Adams trade should have been made already. It should have been done. So the fact that it's not done shows me that the Raiders don't trust the offers that are out there for him, which means he's not going to the Jets anytime soon. And the Jets and their fans need to realize that. It's not happening. We're going to have to keep Butterfingers, Alan Lazard. We're going to have to keep working with overrated Garrett Wilson and underperforming Brees Hall for the rest of the season. That's just the bottom line.
Watching last week's game, and I'll end it on my note on this. I was surprised on how many drops Alan Lazard had after all his time. After all his time with Rodgers, that was the biggest shock of that game to me. That's it.
But that's been the story of his season.
The story last season too.
Well, last season I'm going to give you a slight pass for just because it wasn't Aaron.
Not with Alan Lazard. Sorry, I can't.
Okay, no, that's fine. But
Lazard's terrible.
But they have screwed this thing up internally so bad that it is going to be interesting to see how the rest unfolds. Because I think you're right, Dan. I think they have to pull the trigger on the Adams trade. Do I think that's the best fit for Devontae Adams? Not really. But they're the one team who probably has to pull the trigger.
But what's it going to cost them?
Well, if I'm the Raiders, I'm kicking my feet up and I know what I want. So if I'm the Raiders, I want one of 3 players plus a little bit of draft compensation.
Mm-hmm.
I want the guy Dan mentioned before. I would take Garrett Wilson.
So you're going to fleece the Jets out of the team.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. If I know how badly Aaron Rodgers wants this, I'm going to do whatever I can. So I want either Garrett Wilson. Leverage. I would take Elijah Vera Tucker. Or, and this is going to probably piss Dan off the most.
If it's who I think it is, I wouldn't be surprised.
Who do you think it is before I say?
Brees Hall.
No.
Okay.
Brees Hall's going to be a free agent after the year. If the Jets want to pay him, pay him. I don't care. But I think Braylon Allen's probably the guy going forward. That. So I may just get to pay Brees Hall free agency. No. I'm going to piss off every Jet fan in America when I say this. I would take Garrett Wilson. I would take Elijah Vera Tucker. Or I want Sauce Gardner.
Oh, boy.
Or the Jets would ride out the season, make the playoffs, make their fans happy. We ended the drought. And the Aaron Rodgers experiment and start over.
What do you think you are?
New York Nets?
Which I don't. Well, here's my thing. It's not. It to him. It's a fraternity to Rodgers. He's an immature narcissist.
I like the word choice.
He should have just kept running for vice president.
You know,
then we wouldn't have to deal with this.
Exactly. You know, and then Tyrod would have been in there. Yeah, perfect. Right? No, look. Obviously, I'm going to root for Rodgers to do well because he's on my team. What am I supposed to do? Not root for him? Of course, I want him to do well, but I would much rather end this now and then move on because I'm ready. I'm done with it. It's over. For me, at least, it's over.
Excuse me.
So, no, for the rest of the season, do the best you can, make the playoffs. You can win the division. Send a message to the AFC. Hey, look, the Jets are here. We may not win the Super Bowl, but we're here. Restart next season. Do a retool. New quarterback. New offensive coaches. Hopefully, if the Jets do well, that they'll get Jeff Ulbrich and take away the interim tag because he's a respected coach and people love him and stuff. So that's what I'm hoping on. I'm ready to move on. So that's my point. And again, I know it's not the point of this conversation, but
No,
I just want you to understand where I'm coming from.
That's the point
and
of
that's
Sunday
what we
Sideline. We got
wanted.
our views. That's the whole point. So
You know?
perfect.
To quote the great Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk, and then we'll move on.
And he's bullshit too. Go ahead.
The New York Jets sold their soul to the devil.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. We know who runs the show. So Robert Saleh's gone after 3+ years. Jeff Ulbrich will take over. He'll coach tomorrow night against the Buffalo Bills. We do have a game going on in London at the moment with about 3 minutes left to go in the first half. The Bears lead the Jaguars 7-3. Caleb Williams to Cole Kmet, the only touchdown so far. But week 6 started off with a divisional battle in the NFC West, which saw Mark's beloved San Francisco 49ers pick up a 36-24 win over the Seattle Seahawks. Brock Purdy, 18-28, 255 yards and 3 touchdowns. George Kittle got 2 of them. The other one to Deebo Samuel, who also went over 100 yards. For Seattle, Geno Smith, 30-52, 312 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. Tyler Lockett, 4 catches, 65 yards and a touchdown. And Mark, the 49ers are now 3-3 on the season, as are the Seattle Seahawks.
It was a good game. I'm not gonna say it wasn't. I don't know what San Francisco 49ers fans see. I don't see much in Brock Purdy, but that's my opinion. It's not a concrete statement. I think he has good awareness on the field. I just don't like him as a quarterback. I think, Purdy has led them where he's going to lead them, but I don't think he can take them to a Super Bowl. Flip it to Seattle. I think Seattle has all the pieces. It's just not working very well. And when you're going to be looking at the potential in about 3 years to lose pretty much that entire offense, you got to do something now.
All right, Dan?
This was a good game to get back on track for the 49ers. They've been pretty bad this season. And I'm willing to say that. They're bad. And I know that a lot of it's injuries. I know a lot of it is, hey, look, a lot of players are struggling too. Struggling to get off. A lot of players are underperforming. But it doesn't matter. What have we been talking about with this 49ers team? Coaching, right? We've been talking about how great the coaching is. They had a great coaching staff, great defense, great offense, great everything, right? They were in the Super Bowl. So play like it. Play even a quarter of it. And I think you'd be fine. This was a good game. I thought Brock Purdy was fine. Wasn't perfect, but he was fine. It was a good way to get back on track if you're the 49ers. And then if you're the Seahawks, this is a massive step back. You lost to the Giants, and then you had, on a short week, lose to your division rival. So now you're going to have a whole 10 days to sour, to keep in, to take in, to sort of debrief the sour last 5 or so days. Like, that's just not good. It's not good. That loses a lot of confidence in the locker room.
And this was a Seahawks team that started the year 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've dropped 3 in a row. And listen, they have the weapons with DK and Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kenneth Walker in the backfield. Geno's just got to be better. And I'm not putting it all on Geno's shoulders, but this is not a team that should be throwing the ball 52 times a game.
Not with two
built.
capable.
And that's my thing. I don't think it's Geno's fault. I think it's the coaching. Not saying coaching's bad, but I think you have a lot of first timers as coaches there. I'm assuming some are veterans, some have been around the block, others are trying out positions for the first time, especially the head coach. So, a lot of it's that too. They're still trying to get a feel of how their system's going to work. They're building their system.
Yeah.
So I think they got lucky first 3 games, to be honest with you. I think they got lucky. They faced 3 teams that are and the 2 teams that are one team that is just god awful. So I think they just got lucky. And then now they face actual good teams, except the Giants.
And the Giants.
But, now that they're facing, teams that are better than those teams, you're starting to see where they're getting exposed a little bit.
And they're getting exposed by teams merely in San Francisco and Detroit with really good receivers. So those young corners are getting tested. And that's, you're right, Dan. The first 3 weeks where they're playing Denver, New England, and the Dolphins minus Tua, you could look really good. And then you go out and play Detroit, you lose by 2 scores. You go play San Francisco, you lose by 2 scores. And you throw in the middle a clunker against a guy like Daniel Jones. So
who hasn't played bad, Daniel Jones, lately?
Look, I won't talk positive about Daniel Jones very often, but that was a good gameplay play.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Mr. Jones play that well since the Counting Crows. All right. So next week, the Seahawks will go to Atlanta, play the Falcons. The Niners go home, and we'll have a Super Bowl rematch with the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's on the agenda next week. And as we move forward, all right, Mark, you brought the guy's name up like he's Beetlejuice earlier. Let's get into it. Deshaun Watson was awful again last week, and it's got people asking the question, is it time to go to Jameis Winston?
When Watson got traded and what Houston got back in collateral, let's call it that way, whatever you want to call it, was unreal. When the news broke about Watson and all the extracurriculars he seems to like to have, I wasn't surprised. He shows up in Cleveland on this deal where 90% of it is guaranteed. There is no incentive for him. He knows he gets to wake up every morning, go to the game, play, go home. He doesn't care if he wins or loses, as long as he gets his paycheck. And we all know he's going to get his paycheck every week. As to Mike's point, we did bring this up last night and this morning. Jameis Winston, otherwise known as good old Krabby Legs, was a decent quarterback while he was in New Orleans. His end of his time, his last year, showed him throw more picks than completed passes. And that's been his problem over the years. Is there a harm the way Cleveland is playing to say to Watson, sit on the bench, take your money, we don't give a shit. Let Jameis Winston run a game or 2? Yes. The problem becomes is if Jameis plays as bad as he did in New Orleans, where he's throwing 4 picks a game. And then you're going to say, oh, right, now we have to choose between this one and that one. Obviously, you have to go back to Deshaun. When you have a fully guaranteed deal, you're not going to see anybody else for a long time unless the Cleveland Browns say, here you go, and release him and give him the money to go, because that's what would have to happen. But I'm sorry, that's just bad business.
Dan?
Deshaun QBR is 31st in the league.
I think he had 8 last week.
He was 8 last week. Yep.
Yeah.
He has 5 touchdowns on the season. Look, the way the Browns are playing is trash. It's bad. Offense looks bad. Defense gets torched every game. When do you tell yourself, you know what, we picked the wrong guy, and they're stuck with him? They have no choice. The Browns need to really make a decision. Make the change at quarterback. Do away with Deshaun. His career is over. No one's going to want him. Or keep him and continue to risk everything about your franchise. Because it's a risk going with Deshaun now. You can't trust him to do well in anything. Now, he can shut up the critics and actually go out there and play. But if he continues to give you lackluster football and they're only scoring no more than 16, 17 points in a game, and then your defense gets torched and the other team scores 40, well, how are you going to match? Well, so they need to make a decision. He's been very frustrating to watch. And, look, obviously I don't wish any ill will on any player, but man, watching him is really, really nauseating. It's bad.
He's missing on every throw.
Literally.
You said 31st in QBR. Last week his QBR was 8, which I believe it was the second time this year he was in single digits.
Yeah.
It's funny. Coming into the season, I said to myself, the sleeper team in the AFC that no one talks about is Cleveland. Really good defense. Yeah, they're going to start the year without Nick Chubb, but if Deshaun plays well, that'll change the whole narrative. Fast forward to week 1, and Deshaun looks terrible. I'm saying, you know what? Cowboys, it's a pretty good defense. I'm going to give him a pass. Whoa, boy, you don't get a pass the next couple of weeks, Deshaun Watson. Because it's not pretty. And I want to know this. I want to know this, whether it's from Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Barry. Can Kevin Stefanski make the change? Or because of the contract that ownership gave him, can you not make the change? Because there's no way I can pay a $238 million quarterback all that money to sit on the bench.
It's that, and also, like, I wonder if Deshaun has something on this coaching staff too. I don't want to. I'm trying not to go there.
Like blackmail?
Yeah. Because I don't care. I'm the coach. I'm going to do what's best for my team.
Right. And by the way, Stefanski just got an extension, so he shouldn't be on a hot seat. Sorry.
Yeah, the Browns are already out that money. We're not worried about that. Either you bench him or get rid of him. You're still going to pay him a boatload.
Yeah.
Browns are out that money.
And you deserve this for what you gave up to go get a guy facing the charges he was facing.
Right.
And look at what Houston got in return for this. They wound up with guys like Will Anderson and, Tank Dell, I believe, was a part of this.
Yeah.
Houston legitimately fleeced Cleveland when we all thought Cleveland's getting the franchise quarterback they've
Yeah,
never had.
exactly. And shame on us because we actually thought,
Yep.
despite all its issues, we actually thought Deshaun, when healthy and when he's focused on football, would actually, do well. And that has not been the case. So shame on us.
And so we'll have to see how long the leash is on Deshaun Watson.
It's
Cleveland will
joking.
Cleveland will play Mark's Philadelphia Eagles today, which I believe will be televised in the state of New York. Just an update London game with about 10 seconds left in the first half. Bears 14, Jaguars 3. Another Cole Kmet touchdown.
I
Yeah,
just
it was
confirmed
a
that
quick
fact, and I gotta
touchdown
watch
against the
the Philly
tight
game.
end from Williams. Maybe the Bears, maybe picking the Bears was the right move, huh?
Yeah.
Shoot.
Or maybe just we go back on
Jaguars suck.
those Jags talks from last week. All right. Speaking of quarterbacks, we got two rookies making their debuts today. One in New England, one in New Orleans. Drake May gets the run in New England against the Texans, and Spencer Rattler gets the ball for the New Orleans Saints because Derek Carr is out with an oblique injury.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what to expect out of Spencer Rattler, but he was entertaining to watch at both Oklahoma and South Carolina. Big arm, run around a little bit. But he takes on a Bucks team that defensively is very sound under Todd Bowles. But just to flip it, I feel terrible for you, Drake May, because that offensive line in New England is a turnstile at the subway.
Yeah.
And no receivers. The Houston Texan defense should have a field day.
Yeah. I know that New England didn't want to start Drake May right away because of the offensive line. Like, it's putrid. But, it's also about changing the culture. Jacoby Brissett's not a culture-changing quarterback.
But you're right, Dan. He's not. But what were your expectations for this year?
Thing. Well, I guess not
Now
necessarily obviously to show something. Look, the Patriots are going to stink. We all know that. But is it worth it to at least see what you have in the quarterback? I don't know. But
later in the year, it's okay.
I'm just thinking about it because
Yeah.
part of me wants Drake May to go out there and kill it. He wants me to ball. Like I want the best for him.
Mm-hmm.
And we obviously know for his future, sitting on the bench ain't gonna do shit. But at the same time, like, do you want to thrust yourself into a team that stinks, that can't protect you? Like, that's not good. That's not a good welcome to the NFL moment.
Right.
Eventually, at some point, we were going to see Drake May in this season because we all knew New England was not going to be able to do much. I don't think this is the game you really wanted to start him against, but you got to get him in there anyway. Like Dan said, that offensive line is, putrid is probably the right word of all words to use because there are more holes in that offensive line than a good block of Swiss cheese. What I want to see out of Drake May is attempts. Whether he gets picked off 7 times, I don't care. I want to see what the kid can do. Let him go out and let him throw. let him do what he wants. So you already know Stevenson's going to fumble today because he got to keep up that streak.
No, he's not. He's not
Oh, that's
playing.
right. He didn't last week. Never mind. But he's going to fumble to start a new one.
No. He's out today, Stevenson.
So, okay, well, there goes that hope. Uh,
Yeah.
no. But let's see Drake May. I don't want to see him throw the ball 50 times. I like to see him throw the ball 30 times and see what the kid can do.
But you're throwing him to the wolves because this is
Whether
bottom
you do,
five offensive line. It's a bottom five receiving group. And you're going up against a defense that's got 15 sacks on the season and has legit corners and is facing the one of the best defensive coordinators in the league right now.
and you're right. Might not be the right week to start him, so be it, whatever. He's gonna have to go through it eventually. And in the immortal words of Bill Parcells, you gotta get knocked down a lot before you can throw 50 yards. So let's see what Drake May can do. We might all be surprised today, as we've been surprised by rookie performances over the years. I just feel bad for the kid because I know what's going to be coming at him. That's all.
Oh boy. Drake May, it's October. That's all I'm going to say.
I would have said by November he'd be in anyway. So might as well get it over with.
Air hugs for you, Drake May. All right.
By the way, I haven't really seen much of Rattler, but go out there and ball, man. I mean, look,
He was
He's got
great
an
at
offense to work with, though. So that's
he was great at Oklahoma.
yeah.
And then he lost his job to Caleb Williams. And he transferred to South Carolina.
Yeah.
So ultra competitive guy, good arm, also very mobile.
Well, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, so and in this Saints offense, which has looked totally different from Saints offenses of years past, he's got a real shot. So see what happens there. Saints will play the Bucs. Patriots host the Texans. But on to our games of the week. Let's start with the big one. Dan, it's down in your territory.
Oh, yeah.
We got the Washington Commanders and the Baltimore Ravens.
CBS, it is a shame that you did not trade this game to NBC. Shame on you.
This would be better than Giants Bengals.
Shame
Bengals, yeah.
No, everyone is stoked. A lot of Ravens fans. You know, the Commanders fans, they're still hiding under the Redskins hibernation type of thing. So they're slowly starting to come out because of this Jaden Daniels. And I really think they nailed it with the Jaden Daniels pick. I really do think the Commanders have something there. No, this is going to be a terrific game. I'm going to be all in on it. And as we all should, because that is going to be something special. I really hope it's a good game just for the sake of the region. You know, the Battle of the Beltway. Like, I would love nothing more than to see a good game. And, you know, let's just hope that it is, because, you know, it's, to me, I really have a good feeling that this is going to be something to watch for generations to come. You know, Lamar, Jaden, like I'm stoked about it. And then, you know, both defenses have also shown up pretty well too. So it's like, you know, especially Washington's defense, like it's actually been very respectable. So I'm stoked about this game. I'll be all in.
Mark.
This is going to be the game of the week, in my opinion. And I agree that it should have been traded off to the Sunday night game. Jaden Daniels, I said, should go number one over Caleb Williams. Not to take away anything that Caleb Williams has done this season. He's actually been playing pretty well, and he's been playing well in this first half. In this game, this game means more to Baltimore than it really does to Washington. And I hate to say it like that because Baltimore started off the way they did. Baltimore started off 0-2, and nobody could have predicted that. Now they're playing a little bit of catch up, and they've done it against some good defenses too. This is the ultimate challenge for the Washington offense because I think the Washington defense is going to get lit up. I want to see a run over game on both sides. I want to see 42-42. I want to see this
Good chance
game
you're
go
going
to
to get
high.
that.
But it's a possibility. You look at the season that Jaden Daniels has started with,
Yeah.
and he's proven not only can he throw the ball with accuracy and zip, he's proven that he can run the ball because we've seen him on his legs. He's a complete quarterback. He scares me in the NFC East, okay? I'll admit it.
Yeah.
I don't want to face this guy, but we're going to have to.
Yeah.
For Baltimore, you can't fall to 3-3 right now. You need this win. So it's really the Baltimore defense that has to show up today.
Yeah.
And you're asking Wile E. Coyote to stop the Roadrunner, basically. It's not easy to do.
Yeah.
Dan, you said they nailed it with the pick of Jaden Daniels. I think they also nailed the two other picks.
Mm-hmm.
The pick of Dan Quinn at head coach.
Yes.
And the pick of Cliff Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator.
He has called that offense
beautifully.
Tremendous.
So
tremendous
good.
call on those offense. And when he was hired, it was sort of like sort of under the radar pick as offensive coordinator. Like, I don't think anyone really saw it coming until the reports actually got out there that he was going to do the job. Like, it was like, okay, like if we get Cliff Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator, you know he has head coaching aspirations. So anything to get his name out there, it's like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, you can't go wrong. If for offense is trying to change its identity, for a team that's trying to change its identity. Now, you can't go wrong with that. He has beautifully called these games, and it's fitting his style, Jaden Daniels. It is fitting his style. And that's something that you really can't teach in a coach. So, great hire by Dan Quinn. And then Dan Quinn, we know how, we saw him in Atlanta do it. Like, his team, they respect him. He's a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
It was not my first coach. I thought Ben Johnson would get it, but you know how that happened. He wanted
to stay.
He wanted to stay, which is fine. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, Dan Quinn was sort of a last resort hire, and look at that. Everybody's ready to go. This team is looking pretty good. I don't know what the season's going to end up looking like for the Commanders. They're in first place right now in the division. It doesn't seem like there's signs of stopping. It could end, and then wouldn't you can end here? But
if they win 8 or 9 games, it's a successful year.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And let's be honest, it's already been a successful year because you now know what Jaden Daniels can do. You flip side it to Baltimore. Look, we know how great Lamar is, and my God, Derrick Henry, the last number of weeks has been sensational. It's a pick your poison with this one.
Yeah.
Let Derrick Henry beat you, let Lamar beat you, either way.
Mm-hmm.
But no Brian Robinson today for the Commanders. He'll be out with a knee. So expect a lot of Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
All right, Mark. Cardinals Packers.
A game that we know will be seen in 50-50 vision today. You're looking at a Arizona team that has a lot of promise. They need some more pieces, especially in the running game, not to take away much from James Conner. But I like the development that Kyler Murray is getting with Marvin Harrison Jr. You can see they're getting on the same page. And after the season, I almost think that's going to be pretty much like Kyler did to DeAndre all over again. And I said that even during the draft. That's where he ends up. That's what it's going to be like. This game is almost a hodgepodge, but I'm pulling for Arizona here. I love watching this young team play. I think they're a good team. The question will be, will the real Kyler Murray please show up and hopefully he studied before the game? Sorry, Eminem, I was not trying to make a mockery.
Shout out Eminem.
Not a sponsor.
I mean, he's a rapper. I was not talking about the candy. So,
I was talking about his business company. That's all.
oh boy. All right. Dan, anything on Cardinals Packers?
I think the Cardinals are better than they think. However, I expect the Packers to go out there and kick ass. But I think it's gonna be more competitive, and I think that's a good thing.
This also has the making of a very high scoring game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But if I'm the Packers, don't take any. Just go out there, play football. Your brand of football. Like, don't go away from your game plan, because if just one wrong play and the Cardinals will take advantage. That's one thing that I've noticed about this Cardinals team, is that when handed the opportunity to take the game over, they will do that.
Yeah, Kyler.
Yeah.
That dual threat of Kyler Murray. Woo-wee. Very interested to see how the Packers receivers play. Now Romeo Dobbs is back, so see what happens there. All right, AFC West, we got the Chargers and Justin Herbert taking on the Denver Broncos, Mark, who've won 3 in a row.
Bo Nix, baby. Bo Nix bringing them alive.
Yeah.
However, as much as I've enjoyed watching Bo Nix play, Bo doesn't own this game today. I'm sorry to say. To see life out of Denver is good. To see them moving the ball and getting on pace. The best thing for them to do this year, I mean, winning doesn't hurt you, of course, but the more experience you get with this young team and the more rapport and you learn what everybody can do, it's just going to show them how much they need to bring in for next year. This is a audition year for Bo Nix. He has proven he can win. He's won 3 games, like Mike said, 3 in a row. Can he do it again today? Possible.
Chargers are banged up too, so should be an intriguing affair in the AFC West. And then we got another rivalry one. We have the Steelers and the Raiders. But the big news out of this one is American hero Russell Wilson will be the backup for Justin Fields today, which means the moment Justin Fields makes a mistake, Russell Wilson's coming in, because Mike Tomlin keeps opening up that door for no darn good reason.
I don't understand it. Look, do I think it's good to have Wilson as a backup? 100%. You need a veteran quarterback to be your backup. This league has shown many times, if you have a good quarterback and a good backup, you have a good chance of, trying to win a game if anything goes wrong, injuries, or you just need to change up the offense a little bit, change up the game plan. So I'm all for that. But I have this weird feeling that Justin Fields is, capable of getting benched, which makes no sense.
Yep.
It makes no sense. Like, just let the guy play. He's been playing well. Like, there should be no reason why Justin Fields can't be QB1.
And by the way, Justin Fields, more of your long-term answer than Russell Wilson would be.
Exactly.
Which makes it Dan's point, make less sense. All right, Mark. Unless you had something you wanted to add to that.
No, basically, no. Dan said it all. I was just agreeing.
All right, Mark. Your favorite game of the week. 425 AT&T Stadium. Future Cowboy quarterback Tom Brady on the call.
This really sucks that I got to listen to this putz all year.
Lions Cowboys.
This is going to be a battle, and it's going to come down to Dallas being able to stop that two-headed monster of Montgomery and Gibbs. It's not easy to do. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs have been running very well since last year, as they proved that both of them got to 1,000 yards. Both of them almost had 10 touchdowns apiece on the season, and they both can receive out of the backfield. What does Dallas need to do? Dallas got to get pressure into the backfield and slow that up. Don't let the running backs get outside. And we could tell that to everybody. But if you stop the running backs, there is another problem called Ross St. Brown, Sam Laporta, and Jameson Williams. You got to stop them too. Detroit is a complete team.
Yes.
Whether it's offensively or front line defensively. Dallas has to take advantage of that secondary. The secondary has been weak since game 4 of last year, and it has not gotten any better. We're going to see Dak Prescott probably throw 40 to 45 times today, if not more, because Zeke Elliott is out today, most likely. Doesn't surprise anybody. But you cannot expect to go drive for drive with this Detroit Lions offense because they're going to beat you because they're that good. Dallas has to come out and score first, if they get the ball first, of course, and then cause a turnover and score again immediately to get this game on the right path.
And no Eric Kendricks today for the
No
Cowboys
Eric Kendricks
defense.
also, yes.
Yeah. I think for Dallas.
Another big loss. Sorry, Dan.
You're fine. For Dallas, you got to get after Jared Goff. We've seen Jared Goff in many occasions when he gets pressured, he has some really bad games. So that's my number one. How do you get to him? How do you get past the offensive line that can protect him well? Dallas has a good defense, so I mean, to me, it's not an easy game plan because the Lions have really risen to the occasion. I mean, I'm telling you, this Lions team's getting better and better each year. So it's not going to be an easy game plan. But the game plan, if you can make Goff rattled a little bit, it eases everything for the offense. Because then the pressure on the Detroit defense to hold Dallas. When you're in that situation, it's like a chess match a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the word hold, that is something that this Cowboy offensive line has been penalized a lot for early on this year. Which means Aiden Hutchinson might run wild.
That's probably they got a lot of others on defense. That's probably the biggest concern I have is how do you solve the problem like Aiden? I have no idea.
Which means Dak is either going to have to get the ball out really quickly, or the Cowboys are going to have to adjust themselves, run the ball a little bit more, which they've been very ineffective at doing this year. But the other thing, maybe get Jake Ferguson involved early on those little shallow crosses and stuff like that. Oh, yeah. By the way, when these two teams played last year, some guy named CeeDee Lamb went for over 200 yards.
Yeah.
You might want to get that guy involved early. So that should be a fun one, too. Detroit, Dallas. Sunday night, we got Bengals, Giants. We still don't know why that's Sunday night game. That's a whole nother conversation. But Dan, we alluded to it earlier. Monday Night Football, first place in the AFC East on the line. Bills Jets.
I think the Jets are on a honeymoon. I'm picking them to win. I'm taking a risk here. The Jets are on a honeymoon right now. I think they're going to get a lot out of this team because they respect this Jeff Ulbrich guy, someone that I've, watched over the past 4 years and coached my team, and he's done a very good job at it. I really think the Jets are going to get something. I don't know if it's going to be a temporary thing, but everything's on their side right now. Things are changing in the locker room. Josh Allen's in disarray. He's had 2 horrible games in a row. Bill's offense had 2 horrible games in a row. Bill's defense is meh. And the Jet defense looks pretty damn good. Look, you have to understand, of the 23 points they gave up in London against Minnesota, I'd say that's like 13 points, 16 points, 13, 16 points that the defense actually gave up, which should be enough to win you games. But as we've seen, it's not because the quarterback is terrible. I think the rejuvenated locker room combined with bringing out the old jerseys with this logo, not this logo. This logo, this logo here. I think the combination of that, new coaches, everything, new philosophy, hopefully more accountability. I think that's going to be good enough for the Jets. Now, if I'm the Bills, I'm looking at the Jet locker room. I'm like, the Jets dysfunctional. We are stable. We've lost a couple. We're stable. Like the mindset should be, let's kick their ass and let's really take control of the division. They think they're good. They think they're on a roll because of they made a few changes. Nah, we're number 1 in the AFC East. So they need to go out there, and Josh Allen has to take care of the football. He has to take care of the football, and he needs to really take control of the offense, something that he has not done at MetLife Stadium recently. And that should be of a lot of concerns.
The other concern should be how the offensive line plays. They've not been great
It's
either
been
the
terrible.
last couple of weeks.
It's been bad.
They should have James Cook, though, that he's expected to play.
Mm-hmm.
But they need someone on the outside to make a play, whether it's Kincaid or it's Keon Coleman. Someone's going to have to make a big play for them, not named James Cook. So,
I mean, it's Josh Allen versus the New York Jets. It's the Buffalo Bills versus New York Jets. It's this division primetime matchup, in my opinion. It has been one of the best matchups over the last decade, and the games are always good.
Yes.
But this is not the same Buffalo team as years before. Sorry, Nate, I hate to tell you that.
Yeah,
There's no Gabe Davis. No Gabe Davis, no Stephon Diggs. I think Mike made it right on calling up Dalton Kincaid to have a big game. I think that is needed. And I agree. It has to be more than this guy who's barely cooking in the league. Yeah, that's me trying to pick on Mike. It doesn't work all that much. Personally, this is the Jets' game to lose. I think the Jets have the better team here. They have the better offense. They have the better defense. But it's going to come down to, like Dan and Mike pointed out, is the Jets' offensive line giving Aaron Rodgers whatever little time they're going to give him to get that ball out fast.
here's the other part. Can you contain Josh Allen when he wants to run with the ball?
Yeah.
Not an easy task either.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah. And the Jets offense, the receivers have to come up big. I need big games out of Garrett Wilson. Look, I know I trash Garrett Wilson a lot because we expect a lot from him, right? And he really hasn't gone to that next level. We keep saying
number one wide receiver.
So, We need big game out of him. We need to feed more to Mike Williams. Mike Williams, who's very silent. He's made big catches in games, but he's silent. He's very silent. And then Alan Lazard needs to stop dropping the football. Braylon Allen, get him, give this guy some space up the middle, man. And then go back to Brees Hall going on the outside. And also you can also toss the ball to him too. He's a tremendous pass catcher, Brees Hall. So go after that and the offense. Enough with the false start penalties, man. Enough.
It's all about the cadence, man.
Enough. Rifkin.
I would say this, to your point on Garrett Wilson, I would get him involved early. Give him a screen pass. Give him a quick slant early. Get him a couple of quick catches. That's why he's in rhythm of the game. That's where I would go there. Lazard, I don't care what you do with Lazard, to be honest with you. He's going to drop a couple of passes anyway.
Right. It's not going to matter.
It's not going to matter, but just get Garrett Wilson into the flow, and then you go from there. Brees Hall, you're right. Get him in the flow too, whether it's catching the ball out of the backfield. Give him a couple of holes here and there. There's just something about Buffalo off the last two games that makes me think that they're coming in. They are going to find a way to win this game and go. Yeah. All right. New coach, no new coach. We don't care. We're going to beat you anyway. All right. All right, Mark, I'll start with you. Who's your fantasy player for the day?
My fantasy player of the day is you called him out after the week he had last year against the Detroit Lions, and that's CD Lamb.
Lions usually eat lamb, so.
Yeah, and once in a while, the lamb bites back.
Dan?
My fantasy player of the day, if I'm being real with you, it needs to be, if the Giants really want to win this, Kayvon Thibodeau. If anything. Now, of course, if you want to go just straight up defense, I think the fantasy on the defensive side should be the Jets, because the Jets, they got something to prove. People are sort of dismissing the fact they have a good defense. Go out there and prove it, and go out and get a win. In terms of offense, I'm all in. I'm all in on Jaden Daniels. Come on, man. Let's go. Come on, baby. You don't have to win the game, but you certainly have to go out there and ball.
Just cover the 6.5 on the spread, and we're good.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels. He's like my pick on offense, on defense, New York Jets. And then if you have a individual defensive player, I'm talking to you, Mike Rifkin. Kayvon Thibodeau.
That'd be great if Kayvon Thibodeau was playing tonight.
He's not playing.
He's not. He underwent wrist surgery.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't say on my fantasy thing.
I would make that move soon.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, okay. He is not playing tonight.
Oh, I did not. I can't believe you didn't catch that. Okay. All right.
You're welcome. Breaking news. For me, I'm gonna go Drake London. Atlanta Falcons. They're going to play the Carolina Panthers. Drake London is turning himself into a number one receiver. And my cousin Kirk loves him. So shout out Kirk Cousins as well. So Drake London against the Panthers. That should be fun matchup. All right. That'll do it for this edition of the Sunday Sideline Report. We'll be back with you next week, previewing all of Week 7. Dan, you wanted to talk about the socials?
Search the Sports Sanity Network on X and Facebook at @SInsanityReal. We post there all the time. Please follow. And then, of course, the YouTube page. You see us live every week. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, notifications. When we're live, it automatically tells you that we're live. So you have no excuse here. Hit that bell. And then, of course, like I said, Facebook, X, keep following us.
All right. Dan mentioned the site as well, sportscitynewark.com. Blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. And until next week, for the old ops guy, for Dan, Mike, thanks for listening to the Sunday Sideline Report here on the Sports Insanity Network YouTube page. Oh, before we go, shout out our friend Rudy Campos and Sweep the League.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Check
Or as
their
Mike
stuff.
likes to call them, sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg. Rudy, I don't apologize for it either. But everyone, also, before we go, I just want to remind you one thing. Let's go Mets.
Yes.
Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it could happen. Could we see a repeat of the 2000 World Series and become the network divided?
Or could it be a rematch of the 1920 World Series where the Brooklyn Dodgers played the Cleveland Spiders?
Let's go Dodgers. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't. Look, the Yankees have been terrible against the Mets. If the Yankees go to World Series, I don't want to face the Mets. Screw that. And the risk of losing the town and having me go into
I don't think the Yankees could lose the town, but all right.
Are you sure about that? The Mets win the World Series? You don't think the Yankees can lose the town?
We'll own it for a couple of months, but you still have about 20 more world champions than we do.
No, I would much rather face the Dodgers. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what me and Mike were saying when it came down to San Diego and Los Angeles. We wanted to face the Dodgers more than we wanted to face the Padres.
Yeah. Now the Yankees have to get there. They still have to face the Guardians
of the Galaxy.
Yeah. By the way, how horrible was School? Can you imagine if the Tigers actually won that game? Yankee fans would be absolutely, oh my God. We would have been going crazy. But no, that didn't happen, obviously. And Guardians we got to face that bullpen. Terrible.
Well, go Jose Ramirez.
All right. No, I want the whole spotlight to myself, man. Screw that.
For what you say, go Dodgers, I had to say go something.
Yeah. All right. But what a tremendous time for a New York fan, though.
Yes.
Everything's going on. Football, basketball, baseball. Hockey all at the same time. It's great.
Boom.
Peace out, folks.